Oh boy, how is it going, everyone? We all knew this day was coming after the price point of Mario Kart World was set. It was a harbinger of things to come, and Microsoft and Xbox Game Studios had confirmed that their games this coming holiday would be adjusting to an $80 price point. And the first game that is going to be $80 has been confirmed. It was coming off the heels of the Xbox Showcase. They went into the Outer Worlds 2 Direct, and it was confirmed that the game will be $79.99 for the base game. That's not all. Premium Edition will be $100. And on top of that, the Premium Edition will include fake early access. So they are baking in everything as far as making a lot of money off of you. Now, before we go over everyone completely crapping all over this, at least a lot of people crapping on all over this, let us go and address the obvious. Outer Worlds 2 is a quote-unquote day one Xbox Game Pass title. I say quote-unquote because fake early access. It lets them promote these games as day one Xbox Game Pass titles and then also charge people to get the game in the real day one. Brothers, it's a single-player RPG. The game is done. What do you mean early access? You ain't stress testing no servers. What's going on here? It's an RPG. Alright, relax yourself, your fake early access. It's honestly kind of genius from a Microsoft standpoint where they can promote Game Pass about having all of these games day one, and all of their legions of fans will be like, look at all these games you're getting day one. You're not getting them day one, you're getting them on a little bit of a delay. Let's call it like it is. But yes, the game is available on Xbox Game Pass. And also, it being $80, which everybody is now starting to put the pieces together. You know, give myself the old pat on the back because I said this initially when Microsoft announced the $80 price point, and just pricing of a lot of these games is the idea that if you price these games higher, not only are you potentially making more money off of Steam sales and PlayStation sales, although I think in the case of Outer Worlds 2, it going with an $80 price point is actually going to hurt this game's sales dramatically. We saw what happened with Doom: The Dark Ages. Outer Worlds 2 going to $80 I think will be exponentially more so. However, if you can establish this $80 price point for video games in general, and you're talking about these games being available on Game Pass, you're going to create this illusion of elevated value for Game Pass, because people, at least their idea, at least what they could be thinking is, hey, people are going to look at these games and be like, whoa, this game is $80. You damn right Black Ops 7 is going to be $80. It's $80 on all of these platforms, but yet, if I sign up to Xbox Game Pass, I just get it with my Game Pass subscription. Now, ultimately, they could raise the price of Game Pass, and they absolutely will. Every subscription service does that. They are upping the price point, and a lot of the times, they are lessening the value proposition. Here, they're almost artificially creating that value for Game Pass by upping the standard price of games. I actually think it's somewhat genius because a lot of people aren't even going to realize that. It's just naturally going to happen because a lot of people are just going to look at the prices. They're not following the game news cycle week to week. Outer Worlds 2 will come out, these games will come out, and then, you know, your casual Joe Schmo that plays Call of Duty every year and Madden every year, they go and want to pick up Call of Duty and they're like, bro, this is $80 on my PlayStation or $80 on Xbox. I can just sign up for Game Pass. It does create that elevated value. And I don't think Microsoft is completely stupid. In a vacuum, if you assess this, is Outer Worlds 2 the game you look at and you're like, oh, brother, we got the huge IP here. We got Outer Worlds, brothers. Outer Worlds was massive all those years ago. Like, no, nobody thinks Outer Worlds was at that level. Nobody thinks Outer Worlds is this amazing game that its sequel deserves to be the first game on non-Nintendo platforms to up the price to $80. It just, nobody thinks that. And I would imagine Microsoft doesn't think that either, but ultimately, their games are going to go up to $80. What I am going to be interested in is Ninja Gaiden 4 gonna be $80? Because that's a game, man, I want that game to do really well. $80 would cook that game. Cook that game. Just take whatever you need, take the hammer and just beat the hell out of it with an $80 price point. Yes, it'll elevate Game Pass even more, and I look at that October month when you got the Double Fine game, when you got Ninja Gaiden 4, and you got Outer Worlds 2. Are all of those games gonna be $80? I don't know. Ninja Gaiden 4 is the one that, man, you know I'm gonna be making videos if that's $80. Ninja Gaiden at 80 bucks is gonna be insane. But I don't think Microsoft is under this false idea. I would assume that at this point, most people can utilize a functioning brain cell and realize that $80, yes, people will pay $80 for some games out there. Grand Theft Auto 6, maybe Gears of War E-Day, maybe Gears of War E-Day. Even then, $80 is such a stretch that I look at games like Borderlands 4, rumored to be $80, Gears of War 80, E-Day probably gonna be $80. I even look at those and I'm like, man, I think the $80 price point can impact those. GTA 6 is one of those games that GTA 6 is at that threshold where, yeah, you could price that at $80, $90, $100 and I think people would still buy it. But your Outer Worlds 2s of the world, your Ninja Gaiden 4s of the world, these games, in a vacuum, $80 is way too expensive. But again, creating that illusion of elevated value for Game Pass, I can understand why they're doing it. And obviously, people are not happy about it whatsoever. If you go to the Steam community section, price is outrageous. Slop will be on sale for like $20 in a few years. You're probably right about that. Think about this. People want to talk about Obsidian. Oh my god, Obsidian is so consistent. Yeah, Obsidian is consistent in putting out mid games. Oh my god, they got 3 games coming out. Guys, I played Avowed. It was an okay RPG. It's fairly mid. It's fairly mediocre. With all the games coming out, is that game worth $70? No, it's not. Grounded 2, nobody cares about Grounded, okay? In terms of big games coming out, nobody cares about Grounded. Outer Worlds 2, Outer Worlds 1 was a decent game, and I would even say it's a pretty good game. Fine, great that it's getting a sequel. $80 for the sequel. These price points are insane to me, but I don't put Obsidian as this amazing studio. They're a good asset to Xbox game studios. Pentiment, you know, all of these games, they are fairly consistent. Hell, that beats out some of these studios putting out one game every 7 years. I certainly would take Obsidian over the current day Naughty Dog. I'm not gonna kid you guys. I would absolutely take Obsidian over the current day Naughty Dog, but that's how far standards have fallen. If Obsidian is, oh my god, Obsidian is our ace in the hole. They're a good little studio, but their games being $80, just no. And I get that Outer Worlds 2 is looking to be their biggest game yet so far, but still, like, no. And I would argue Mario Kart World, for what it is not worth $80. And I assume that's what some people are gonna look at. Well, this game was $70, that game was $70, and it has a fraction of the content. Like, okay, those games were overpriced as well. It's great that Outer Worlds 2 is gonna have more content than the Callisto Protocol. Callisto Protocol was horrifically overpriced as well, and that game was mid. Wouldn't be surprised if they're charging $80 or so more people are forced into Game Pass ecosystem. At the end of the day, nobody's forced into doing anything, and let me say that. I hate the idea of force, and I hate the idea of people, and I get it, prices going up. People have this idea that they're gated out of gaming. Guys, you are not gated out of gaming. A lot of you guys have a PlayStation 5 right now. If you already have your PlayStation 5, you're set for like eons and eons. The backlogs you guys have, you watch our deals videos. Go play 13th Sentinels Aegis Rim for $15. There's so many great games, and I gotta shout out 13th Sentinels every single time I get, because I know so many of you guys haven't played it, but there's so many great games that you can get in the bargain bin. But at the same time, we do gotta call out the insanity that is $80 price points, and you know, I don't think anybody should be wanting to drop gaming because in Outer Worlds 2 is $80. Even in Ninja Gaiden 4, which I loved in Ninja Gaiden 2 Black earlier this year, loved Ninja Gaiden. But even Ninja Gaiden 4, a game that I'm very excited for, that being $80, and you being like, bro, a game that I'm really looking forward to being $80, this is destroying gaming. Well, yeah, that's one game. There's so many other games, and there's so many games that are going with a $50 price point. Expedition 33 came out earlier this year, so yes, crap on Outer Worlds 2, crap on other games going to an $80 price point when a lot of the times they're not worth that price point, but don't give up in gaming altogether. And I bring this up because every time I talk about prices going up, a lot of people want to give up on gaming altogether. Alright, If you're a single player guy, at this point, buy your games at a discount, cancel PlayStation Plus, that scam of a service, and just chill on these games on discounts. There's a lot of opportunity for you to play great games at great prices. At the same time, we'll call out this garbage, and Outer Worlds 2 being $80 on PlayStation 5 is garbage, let's be honest. We know why they're doing it, and I'm giving you guys the rationale. Outer Worlds 2, you absolutely should not be spending 80 bucks on it. Wait a little while and get it on the cheap, you know? There are some games that are worth the premier price point, and the premier price point, I would say a year ago, was noted to be $60, $70. Now we're talking $80. Now we're talking $100 for the premium edition and doing fake early access. Like, get out of here with that. Ghosts of Yotei, you guys, is coming out the same month as Outer Worlds 2, and that's gonna be $70. And I will say this, Tsushima is a better game than Outer Worlds, so let's just be honest here. Yotei being $70, Death Stranding 2 being $70. Look at the value proposition games are giving you at $70, and people find that to be too expensive, and then you want to talk about Outer Worlds 2 being $80? Look, I don't mean this to be completely, let's just crap on Obsidian, and I know I just called all their games mid. They did Fallout New Vegas. They did South Park The Stick of Truth. Those are two games I absolutely loved. Outer Worlds 1 I thought was a pretty good game. I would say a good 7.5 out of 10 level game, but Avowed was fairly mediocre, maybe on the bridge of being good, on the border of being good, I should say, and then Grounded, like, let's be honest, for most people, they don't give a damn about Grounded. And Outer Worlds 2, it's a game that, I think it's a game that most people are gonna pick up on the bargain bin, but, you know, they are expanding it quite a bit, so credit to them as far as that's concerned, but it's easy to see why people are absolutely outrageous over a game like this being $80. And let me also say this, in a vacuum, do I care about Outer Worlds 2, this game in particular, being $80? No, but Ninja Gaiden 4 being $80? That rubs me the wrong way. Other games, other publishers looking at the games that they're putting out and going with an $80 price point. Now, the Microsoft route of putting games to $80, I think, is a very unique scenario where they are hyper-prioritizing a subscription service. I do wonder, in a case like Persona 4, the remake coming out, that's gonna be Game Pass day one. Does Xbox have a conversation with Sega being like, hey guys, price this game at $80. You'll make more money on the back end, but you'll also do us a solid by prioritizing Game Pass subscriptions. I wonder if a conversation like that is had. I don't know, but that is something I do wonder about third-party games going to Game Pass as well. Does that incentivize them to have a higher price point on their games? Now, at the same time, you have a higher price point on your games. You want to sell those games on other platforms if you're a third party. If you're a Sega releasing the Persona 4 remake, yeah, $80, I think that game will still sell because of how much content it has, but at the same time, you don't want to get into this territory of literally pricing people out on games that they have a lot of excitement for, but $70, $80, like really at $80, I think we're starting to jump the shark a little bit. A very, very select few games can get away with an $80 price tag. I actually do think Death Stranding 2 and Yotei, those are two games that, you know, I think people would pay $80 for. Outer Worlds 2, on the other hand, no. And I look at other games like a Ninja Gaiden 4, no, as much as I'm excited about it. And this is obviously in a general sense. There are hardcore Ninja Gaiden fans out there. There are people that probably loved Outer Worlds 1 far more than I did, and they think, oh my god, $80, easy buy for me. But generally speaking, I think the consensus would be Outer Worlds 2 being $80 is just going to get completely scoffed at. And by the way, the premium edition also includes 2 pieces of story expansions for what that's worth. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. Again, I still think this is a very unique scenario, and I don't think a Bandai Namco is going to go ahead and price their games at $80. Although, From Software, with the next mainline, you know, Souls-like action title, could they price a game at $80? They actually have yet to price a game at $70, you know, unless you count the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree edition, which actually, I think that came out at $80, right? Yeah, when it was Elden Ring and Shadow of the Erdtree. But they haven't priced, like, a new mainline game, the standard version, at $70 even. Armored Core 6 came out, and that was $60. Elden Ring was $60, obviously. So, you know, with their next game, could Bandai Namco be like, okay, that's a game we can price at $80 and people would buy it? Yeah, that's one. Again, there are the select few games, like an Elden Ring 2, yeah, people would spend $80 on that. I don't know, just Clockwork Revolution, would people spend $80 on that? That's another Xbox Game Studios title? I don't know, I don't think so. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Very curious to hear your guys' takes. And I think Outer Worlds 2 is going to get clowned on for the $80 price tag. But probably doesn't matter, because if it's pushing Game Pass subscriptions, even if this game peaks at, 30, 40,000 players on Steam, which I would view as a disappointment for a game like this, I ultimately think that they won't care as long as they're pushing Xbox Game Pass subscriptions on PC as well. And with the launch of Xbox PC, that's certainly something that they're prioritizing. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.